everybody. I'm delighted to be here, and very special thank you to Mick and to Aileen as well for their organisation of this fantastic gathering. And I'm really glad to be here tonight. And it's a great venue as well to be in the National Library. It falls on me to start, so I thought I might start with a seasonal song, a seasonal child ballad, the Cherry Tree Carol. I learned this from the singing of the American folk singer Joan Baez, and there's different versions of it, but like all of these songs, I think a lot of us know different versions of songs, but there are ones we're kind of drawn back to. So in this particular song, Joseph comes out the worst, really. Mary is definitely portrayed in a much better way, I think, than Joseph in this particular song. So I'll give it a go, the Cherry Tree Carol. When Joseph was an old man was he married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee. He married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee. Joseph and Mary walked through an orchard green. There were berries and cherries as thick as might be seen. There were berries and cherries as thick as might be seen. Then Mary said to Joseph, so meek and so mild, Joseph, gather me some cherries, for I am with child. Joseph, gather me some cherries, for I am with child. Then Joseph flew in anger flew he. Let the father of the baby pluck cherries for thee. Let the father of the baby pluck cherries for thee. Then up spoke baby Jesus from in Mary's womb. Bend down the tallest branches that my mother might have some. Bend down the tallest branches that my mother might have some. Then bend down the tallest branch, it touched Mary's hand. Cried she, oh look thou Joseph, I have cherries by command. Cried she, oh look thou Joseph, I have cherries by command.
Okay, my first song is, as you see from the notes, a song called True Lover John, which is a version of a song more generally known as the Grey Cock, or the True Lover's Ghost, I think. Sometimes it's called that, you know. I learned this song. I suppose I was very lucky when I was growing up in Belfast that I got to meet when I started performing and singing at first. Like I'd hardly go anywhere where there wouldn't be the likes of Geordie Hanna and Joe Holmes and Len Graham inside before me, you know. So I thought that was normal, you know. This is what happened, you know. So I learned a lot of songs from those sort of sources. So this song is, I think it's sort of fairly self-explanatory, except perhaps, like I said in the notes, that the conceit of the song is that actually her lover is a ghost when he appears, and that's why he has to leave before the dawn, and hence the cock is involved. So. Well, it happened for to be on a cold winter's evening, a young girl sat sewing alone. She was thinking of her father, likewise her aged mother, and also her true lover John. Well, Johnny, he was sweet, and he promised for to meet, but he tarried an hour too long. He met with great delay, which caused him for to stray, and to leave this poor girl sitting all alone. And when he came at last, sure he found the door was fast, and it softly he's tinkled and the pin. And this young girl arose, and hurried on her clothes, in order for to let young Johnny in. Well, he took her in his arms, and it's off to bed they went, and it's there they lay talking of their plans. Oh, I wish this night, said she, would happen for to be as long since the world first began. Well then, fly up my cock, oh my pretty little cock, and don't crow an hour too soon, and your comb it shall be made of the very beaten gold, and your wings of the silver so grey. But the pretty little cock, oh, how cruel as he was, for he crew a full hour too soon, and her true love's gone away, not by the light of day, it been only the light of the moon. Well, this young girl arose, and she quickly followed after, saying, when will you come to see me? When fishes they do fly, and seas they do run dry, and 7 moons shine over yonder lea. Oh, once I had a love who was constant unto me, as the stones that lie under yon ground. But now I do find he has altered his mind, and I'd rather live single than be bound. Thank you.
Okay, my next one is a bit of a, it's a long one, but it's one of my favourite child ballads ever. And I learnt it, I suppose, like a lot of people, I listened to every Planksty album over and over and over and over and over again. And I never really actually sat and learned this song, but I kind of learned it by default from listening to the album so much. So this is Little Musgrave, and I always love the story. What I love about this song is the melody is quite simple, and there is that second melody which kind of highlights the drama of the piece, and but the story, just for me anyway, the story shines through so beautifully because it's carried along by the melody, I suppose. So there's a lot of verses in this, and anyway, I want to give it a go. Just want to make sure I start in the right key. I'll try this one. It fell upon a holy day, as many's in the year. Musgrave to the church did go, to see fine ladies there. And some were dressed in velvet red, and some in velvet pale. And then in came Lord Barnard's wife, the fairest among them all. She cast an eye on the little Musgrave, as bright as the summer sun. Said Musgrave unto himself, this lady's heart I've won. I have loved you, fair lady, for long and many's the day. And I have loved you, little Musgrave, and never a word did say. I've a bower in Bucklesfoot Berry, it's me heart's delight. I'll take you back there with me, if you lie in me arms tonight. But standing by was a little foot page, in the lady's coach he ran. Although I am a lady's page, I am Lord Barnard's man. And me Lord Barnard will hear of this, oh, whether I sink or swim. Everywhere the bridge was broke, he'd enter the water and swim. Oh, me Lord Bernard, you are a man of life. But Musgrave, he's at Bucklesfoot Berry, he is sleeping with your wedded wife. If this be the lie, if this be the truth, me little foot page, this thing that you tell me, all the gold in Bucklesfoot Berry I gladly will give to thee. But if this be a lie, me little foot page, this thing that you tell me, from the highest tree in Bucklesfoot Berry hanged you will be. Go saddle me the black, he said, go saddle me the grey, and sound ye not your horns, he said, lest your common we betray. But there was a man in Lord Barnard's train who loved the little Musgrave. He blew his horn both loud and shrill, away Musgrave, away. I think I hear the morning cock, I think I hear the jay. I think I hear Lord Barnard's men, I wish I was away. Lie still, me little Musgrave, hug me from the cold. It's nothing but the shepherd's lad, a-bringing his flock to fold. Is not your hawk upon its perch, your steed its oats and hay, and your lady in your arms, and yet you'd go away? He's turned her around and he's kissed her twice, and then they fell asleep. When they awoke, Lord Barnard's men were standing at their feet. How do you like me bed, he said, and how do you like me sheets? How do you like me fair lady, who lies in your arms asleep? It's well I like your bed, he said, and great it gives me pain. I'd rather give £100 to be on yonder plain. Rise up, me little Musgrave, rise up and then put on. It'll not be said in this country I slayed a naked man. So slowly he got up, slowly he put on, slowly down my purse. You can have the best of them, and I will take the worst. And the first blow little Musgrave struck, he hurt Lord Barnard sore. But the next blow Lord Barnard struck, little Musgrave ne'er struck more. Then up spake the lady fair from the bed whereon she lay. Although you're dead, me little Musgrave, still for you I'll pray. How do you like his cheeks, he said, and how do you like his chin? How do you like his dead body, now there's no life within? It's more I like his cheeks, she said, and more I want that chin. It's more I love that dead body than all your kith and kin. He's taken out his long, long sword to strike the mortal blow. Through and through the lady's heart the cold steel it did go. A grave, Lord Barnard cried, to put these lovers in. My lady on the upper hand, she came from better kin. For I've just killed the finest knight that ever rode a steed, and I've just killed the finest lady that ever did a woman's deed. It fell upon a holy day, as many's in the year. Musgrave to the church did go, to see fine ladies there.
That's quite a feat of memory. I'm told actually that that song is going to form the plot for the next series of Love Hate. So, this song is called Captain Wedderburn's Courtship normally, but the person in question is sometimes called by different names, you know. But the whole idea of sort of a trial by riddle is an extremely sort of ancient thing in folklore throughout the world. If you think of the stinks and riddles and all that sort of carry on, you know. But in this case, it's sort of used as a courtship ploy, I suppose you could say. And I think the story tells itself. A gentleman's fair daughter walked down a leafy lane. She met with Captain Wedderburn, the keeper of the game. He says unto his servant, if it were not for the law, I'd have that girl in bed with me, and she'd lie next the wall. Oh, go your way, young man, she says, and do not bother me. If you wouldn't lie one night with me, you must answer me questions three. 3 questions you must answer me, whilst I put forth them all. Then you and I in one bed lie, and I'll lie next the wall. For breakfast you must find for me a cherry that has no stone. For dinner you must get for me a chicken that has no bone. For supper you must get for me a bird that has no gall. Then you and I in one bed lie, and I'll lie next the wall. Well, the cherry when's in blossom, it surely has no stone. The chicken, when it's in the egg, it surely has no bone. The dove, she is a pretty burden that flies without a gall. So now you and I in one bed lie, and you'll lie next the wall. Oh, go your way, young man, she says, and do not me perplex. If I would lie one night with you, you must answer me questions six. 6 questions you must answer me, whilst I putting forth them all. Then you and I in one bed lie, and I'll lie next the wall. Well, one is rounder than a ring, one's higher than a tree, and one is worse than women's wrath, what's deeper than the sea. One bird sings first, and what 3 flowers last, and on one does the dew first fall. Before you and I in one bed lie, and I'll lie next the wall. Well, the sun, it's rounder than a ring, heaven's higher than a tree. The devil's worse than women's wrath, heaven, hell's deeper than the sea. The lark sings first, and the oak flowers last, and on it the dew first falls. So now you and I in one bed lie, and you'll lie next the wall. You must get for me some winter fruit that in December grew. You must find for me a silk mantle that never weft went through. A sparrow's horn and a priest unborn that would marry us 2 in 2. Then you and I in one bed lie, and you'll lie next the wall. Well, my father has some winter fruit that in December grew. My mother has a silk mantle that never went through. A sparrow's horn is easily found, for there's one on every claw. And Melchizedek was a priest unborn, so you'll lie next the wall. Well, this couple, they got married, as you may plainly see. They live happy together, and they have children 3. She set forth the questions, but he answered one and all. So he rolls her in his arms, and she lies next the wall.
Gorgeous stuff. I'm going to try a very, well, probably the most well-known of all the ballads now, certainly of all the child ballads, Barbara Allen, known by lots of different names. And this version, I know you have the notes there, so maybe I'm repeating myself, but when I was a student in UCC in the music department, we used to go foraging through the listening library, and we'd be picking up. They had amazing LPs at the time of all sorts of singers, and I discovered Sarah Macon for the first time there, and her songs, they just resonate with me still, so this is her version of Barbara Allen. I just liked the way the melody kind of flowed in this, so give it a go. Michaelmas Day being in the year, when the green in love with Barbara Allen. He sent his servant out one day to see if she was coming. One word from you will bring me to, if you be Barbara Allen. Get up, her mama said. Get up and go and see him. Oh, mama dear, do you not mind the time that you told me how to slight him? Get up, her father said. Get up and go and see him. Oh, father dear, do you not mind the time that you told me how to shun him? Slowly, slowly she got up, and slowly she put on her, and slowly, went to his bedside, and slowly gazed upon him. You're lying low, young man, she said, and almost near a dying. One word from you will bring me to, if you be Barbara Allen. One word from me you never will get, nor any young man breathing. For the better of me you never will be, if your heart's blood was a-spilling. Look at my bed foot, he said, and there you'll see them lying. Bloody sheets and bloody shirts, I sweat for Barbara Allen. Look at my bed head, he said, and there you'll find it ticking. My gold watch and my gold chain I bestow to Barbara Allen. As she went over her father's green, she heard the dead bell ringing, and every chap the dead bell gave, it was woe to Barbara Allen. As she went over her father's hall, she saw the corpse a-coming. Lay down, oh weary corpse, till I get looking upon him. They lifted the lid up off of the corpse. She bursted out with laughing, and all his wearied friends around cried, hard-hearted Barbara Allen. As she went into her father's house, make my bed long and narrow, for the dead bell did ring for my true love today. It will ring for me tomorrow. Out of one grave there grew a red rose, and out of the other a briar, but they both twisted into a true lover's knot, and there remain forever. Forgetting myself, sorry, Hammy. Colleen Donna. Sorry, I want this completely dry. We decided we'd do 2 in a row rather than breaking it up all the time. So my next song is a very short little song. I do sing a lot of material, but when it comes to child ballads, it's a funny one. I haven't learned them particularly directly from singers. I've learned them largely through recordings, and this particular one I got from Sean O'Boyle's book, and I think it's about the only time I've ever learned a song directly from a book. And so I suppose I've got my own particular twist in it, but it's one of those songs that has always fascinated me. And any time, I've never actually sung any of these songs in public before, because I usually do different kinds of material, but I really love these songs. And this particular one, any time I've hummed it away or sung it to anyone, they're fascinated by it. In Sean O'Boyle's book, he got it from a man called Frank Quinn from Coal Island, and he called it The Night on the Road. It's also known as the False Night on the Road, or the False Night on the Road. And I've given a little bit of the tale there. Frank Quinn in Sean O'Boyle's book explains it really well, about the fact that if you, just in case you meet the devil on the way home tonight, you know now what to do. You stand very still, and then he doesn't get at your soul. So it's good to know that. Yeah, it's a little snippet of a song. People, when I've hummed it for people or sang it for people very informally, they often describe it as being like a spiritual. Maybe it's just the way I sing it. But anyway, I'm going to give it a go. What brings you here so late, said the night on the road? I go to meet my God, said the child as he stood. And he stood, and he stood, and 'twere well he stood. I go to meet my God, said the child as he stood. How will you go by land, said the knight on the road? With a good staff in my hand, said the child as he stood. And he stood, and he stood, and 'twere well he stood. With a good staff in my hand, said the child as he stood. How will you go by sea, said the knight on the road? With a good boat under me, said the child as he stood. And he stood, and he stood, and 'twere well he stood. With a good boat under me, said the child as he stood. Methinks I hear a bell, said the knight on the road, and it's ringing you to hell, said the child as he stood. And he stood, and he stood, and 'twere well he stood. And it's ringing you to hell, said the child as he stood. Thank you.
So, this is a very well-known song, I think. Probably most people have heard this and loads of different versions of it. Probably better known as The Streets of Derry, but it's the version, what I'm calling it, the Weary Gallows or the Dreary Gallows. Those are a couple of various names that it has, you know. And it's actually, like as I said, a lot of these child ballads have the most amazing plots, you know, because if you think of this one, it's actually very similar to the scene in the James Bond movie, you know, where the laser is coming up between his legs and he's just rescued at the very last moment. You know, so think of that. My love is one of the fairest young men that yet was fonder that sun shone on, and how to gain him I do not know, and for he is sentenced for to be hung. When he was walking those streets of Derry, and I'm sure he walked it most manfully, he looked far more like a commanding officer than a man to die upon a gallows tree. The first step he took of the lander, his beloved father was standing by. Come here to me, beloved father, and speak one word to me before I die. The second step he took of the lander, his beloved mother was standing by. Come here to me, beloved mother, and speak one word to me before I die. The third step he took of the lander, his only sister was standing by. Come here to me, my only sister, and speak one word to me before I die. He took the gold ring from off his finger, and he wrapped it up in a napkin fine. Take this, my beloved sister, and bear me constantly in your mind. Oh, hang him, cried the prosecutor, but with that the clergy were standing by. I'll have you see that you may not hang him until his confessions with me are done. And after that you may not hang him until 10 minutes of the setting sun. Where is my love? She's so long in coming, or what detains her so long from me? Or does she think it some great discredit for to see me die upon the gallows tree? He looked around and he saw her coming, and she was dressed up in Holland fine. Come down from those weary gallows, for I have your pardon all from the Queen. And I'll have them know that we'd be united, and I'd crown you Johnny in the bloomin' spring. Thank you. That's okay, we both made the same mistake. I've forgotten what I was supposed to say.
I don't forgive you. Anna Waters next time.
This is a song, I suppose it's actually, the version that I have is quite different from the one that's in the child books, which is known as Rare Willie Round and Yarrow, which is actually a much nicer name. But I know that this version I learned from a very good friend of mine called Cof McGrath in Belfast, and as I said in the notes there, I think it was actually the Nick Jones version, but anyway, it was the one I always had, and it's the song that I've always sort of sung and was always in my head, you know, so it was one of the first ones that came to mind when I was asked to do this. And again, it's self-explanatory. Oh, Annan waters wondrous wide, and my love Annie's sorry, I have a frog somewhere in there. I thought you said it was going to be vodka making.
Maybe pour it up wine.
Oh, Annan waters wondrous wide, and my love Annie's wondrous bonny. I'm loth that she shouldn't wet her feet, because I love her best of any. All right. Excuse me, that was the one I didn't have the prompt for. Oh, that's terrible. I'll start again from the start and I'll get it. Oh, Annan waters wondrous wide, and my love Annie's wondrous bonny. I'm loth that she shouldn't wet her feet, because I love her best of any. Go saddle to me the bonny grey mare, go saddle her soon and make her ready, for I must cross that stream tonight, or never more I'd see my Annie. And he's rode on o'er field and fell, o'er moss and moor, and many's the mire. His spurs of steel were sore to bite, sparks from the mare's feet flew like fire. The mare rode on o'er moor and moss, and when she's gin the Annan want her, she couldn't have ridden a furlong more, had 1,000 whips been laid upon her. And it's woe betide you, Annan want her, and night you are a lonely river, and over you I'd build a bridge that never more true love may sever. And boatman, come put off your boat, put off your boat for gold or money, for I must cross that stream tonight, or never more I'll see my Annie. The banks are steep, the water's deep, from bank to brae the water's pouring, and the bonny grey mare she sweats for fear, she stands to hear the waters roaring. And he has tried to swim that stream, and he's swum on both strong and steady, but strength did fail and limbs did tire, and never more he's seen his lady. And woe betide the willow one, and woe betide the bush of briar, for they broke beneath her true love's hands, when strength did fail and limbs did tire, and it's woe betide you and in winter, and night you are a lonely river, and over you I'd build a bridge that never more true love you'd sever.
I was struck when Hammy said earlier on that a little Musgrave, that could be the plot for the next Love Hate, and I was thinking, well, a lot of these songs, they'd be too violent for Love Hate, actually. So I don't think that'd be suitable at all. Okay, so the next song I'm going to sing is, this is an unusual one as well, and I'm very familiar with Bess Cronin's songs, Elizabeth Cronin, who was from Ballyvourney in County Cork, and she sings a version of this song, Lord Gregory, and it would have been kind of, I suppose, more natural for me to sing that version because it's the one I'd have known better. But I was very struck recently. I was browsing the internet, as you do, and I came across rediscovered, it's all up there by the way on YouTube if you want to see it, John Huston's adaptation of James Joyce's short story, The Dead. And so in that, Frank Patterson is singing a version of The Lass of Aughrim, and I was kind of drawn to that. I suppose, again, it's another first for me. I don't think I've ever learned a song from a classical singer or a classical rendition before, but I just thought I'd give it a go. I think it's so central to that story, and it does haunt you afterwards as well. So it's quite different, very, very different to Elizabeth Cronin's version. But I just thought, you know, again, to challenge myself, I'd learn that version for today. So this is The Lass of Aughrim. Just to say that it does resonate for me as well, this particular one, because I'm from Galway as well, and a lot of people writing about James Joyce would say that, and I'm not a Joyce expert, there may be some in the room, but from what I've read, he was very taken by this song because his wife, Nora Barnacle, was from Galway, and you know, a lot of that kind of seemed to resonate in this particular song and in that story as well. So anyway, I'll give it a go. I have Annan water going around my head, sorry. It was so lovely.
That's funny because I didn't.
If you'll be the lass of Aughrim, as I'll take you to be, tell me the first token that passed between you and me. Oh, don't you remember that night on yon lean hill when we both met together? I'm sorry now to tell. Oh, the rain, it falls on my yellow locks, and the dew, it soaks my skin. My babe lies cold in my arms. Lord Gregory, let me in. Oh, the dew, it falls on my heavy locks, ice cold in my arms, but none will let me in. Oh, Gregory, don't you remember that night on yon lean hill, when we swapped rings from each other's hands, surely against my will? If you'll be the lass of Aughrim, as I'll take you to be, tell me the first token that passed between you and me. Thank you.
Actually, just by a strange coincidence, last weekend, at the Eggshire in Ballybor, Eggshire, there was a plaque to Bess Cronin unveiled in the graveyard, because for a long time they didn't know where she was buried. Strangely enough, actually, but apparently they found it now, so it's nice to know that she's been honoured in that sense. So this next song is, as I said in the notes, Led Me a Merry Dance, because I had remembered this from the singing of a man called Brian Moore, who was a singer from Belfast, who died a few years ago. And I tried to see could I find any. I had most of it in my head, but when I looked in the Dover edition of the Child Ballads, the version in there was actually slightly different to what I had, and I couldn't. And his air was different as well, and I couldn't find the version of it until actually Róisín White, who was down at the Eggshire, pointed me in the direction of that amazing selection of recordings called The Voice of the People that Topic did. Right? I think there's 17 albums, and it's all on iTunes actually, which is amazing. You know, select tracks and download them. So I found there the air that I wanted, and most of the words sung by Lizzie Higgins, who was Jeannie Robertson's daughter, one of the Scottish Traveller singers. You know, but Brian Moore was actually better known for writing songs, I suppose, than singing songs, you know. And in Belfast in the early 70s, I came down south in 76, you know, but there was a lot of things going on in Belfast. But I always, when I think of Brian Moore, I always think of a song that he wrote, which started off, one evening on the Antrim, wrong key. One evening on the Antrim road at the bus stop I did stand. I was waiting for a one-man bus with a token in me hand. Up comes a wee inspector and he says, "Good man," says he, "the one-man bus has been hijacked outside Glengormley." No, that has nothing to do with this song. It was worth it. But this song is actually a very interesting song because it's a version of, I'm not sure what Child, number 1259, 269, whatever. Normally known as the Beggar Man, and this version of it is called the Gabberloony Man, right? Which is an odd term, right? And apparently a Gabberloony Man was a licensed beggar in 16th century Scotland. Apparently beggars were given licenses to beg, you know. But the strong rumour is that actually James V of Scotland wrote this song, okay? And he was supposed to, you know, again, tradition has it that he dressed himself up as a beggar and went around seducing young girls, you know, and that's the sort of thing you'd get away with these days, but this was the 16th century. Anyway, so this is, so eventually I was able to reconstruct the version of it from the Lizzie Higgins song and from the other one. A beggar came o'er yon lea, a seeking lodgings for charity, and he says, "Good wife, for your courtesy, would you lodge a gay old man, lassie, to my tirey?" Well, the night been cold and the night been wet, 'twas doon ahint the ingle he sat, and the daughter's shoulders began to clap, and I whistled and sang, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. And oh, says she, were I as white as e'er the snow that lies on yon dyke, I'd cled me bra and ladylike, and away with you I'd gang, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. Oh lassie, you are o'er young, and you hanny got the cant o' the begging tongue, and you hanny got the cant o' the begging tongue, and wi' me canny gang, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. But she's bent her back and she's bowed her knee, she's put a black patch all on her ee, and she's kilted her skirts up abun her knee, and awa wi' him she's gane, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. So between the two they hatched a plot to rise a wee before the cock, and while the lily they shone the lock, and away to the bent they've gane, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. Well, the very next morning the old wife arose, and leisurely she put on her clothes, and straight to the servants' bed she goes, to rise the gay old man, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. She went to the bed where the beggar lay, but the straw was cold and he was away, and she cries, alack and well a day, our good gear will all be gone, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. Some ran to the coffers and more to the chests, but there was nothing gone that couldn't be missed, and she says, alack and praise be blessed, we launched an honest old man, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. But the servants gone to where the daughter lay, the sheets were cold and she was away, and straight to the good wife then she says, she's awa with the beggar man, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. Well, I'll ne'er launch a beggar again, for I had a daughter and Jeannie was her name. I had a daughter and Jeannie was her name. She ran away with the beggar man, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. But some years later, some 2 or 3, her daughter Jeannie came o'er the lea, with 2 wee bairnies at her knee, and another young coming on, lassie to my tie-ry-ray. Thank you.
We're at the end of ours, and you're in for a real treat. You get that glass of wine and get back here for Róisín and Fergus, because it's going to be lovely and it's great. I can actually relax and enjoy it.
Not quite yet.
Not yet, but in a few minutes.
It's sort of like introducing the Oscars.
Yeah, well, so, Hammy, what did you think of tonight?
Well, I'll tell you after we finish this. So, get the right key, is it then?
Yeah, do you want to say about it, or would we just...
No, you said so the first yes.
Well,
talk about it.
Well, we're going to finish up with the song. We're going to share this particular ballad, and it's one of those ones that a lot of singers don't like singing, and because it's probably the most disturbing, I think, of all the ballads, and it actually is a very harrowing tale. So sorry about that, but it's a fantastic, thought-provoking song as well. And so, yeah, I suppose we're both probably familiar with Planksty's version of it, but also John Riley's version, which is again on the net. freely available. I have the recording, but it's also on the net, so just so you know if you want to look it up. So the Well Below the Valley, yeah, it's hard to say it. It's such a big song. It's a fantastic big song, so we'll give it a go.
Actually, we have to we see what key will come out. Anyway. A gentleman was passing by, he asked for a drink as he got dry at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. My cup is filled up to the brim, if I was to stoop I might fall in at the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
If your true love was passing by, you'd get him a drink as he got dry at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. She swore be grass, she swore be corn, that her true lover had never been born at the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
He says, young maid, you're swearing wrong, for 6 young children you have born at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. If you be a man of noble fame, you'll tell to me the father of them at the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
There's 2 of them by your uncle down at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. Another 2 by your brother John at the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
Another 2 by your father dear at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. If you be a man of noble fame, you'll tell to me what did happen to them at the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
There's 2 buried beneath the kitchen door at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. Another 2 beneath the stable door at the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
Another 2 buried beneath the wall at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. If you be a man of noble fame, you'll tell to me what'll happen myself at the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
You'll be 7 years a-ringing the bell at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
You'll be 7 more a-porting in hell at the well below the valley, oh.
Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. I'll be 7 years a-ringing the bell, but the Lord above may save me soul from porting in hell at the well below the valley, oh. Green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.